Sunday Dispatch, Dispatch, Dispatch. The Sunday Dispatch was a British newspaper published between 27 September 1801 and 18 June 1961. Until 1928, it was called the Weekly Dispatch. History. First published as the Weekly Dispatch in 1801, the newspaper was bought by Alfred Harmsworth and Lord Rothermere in 1903 from the Nunes family. The pair turned it around from bankruptcy and made it the biggest-selling Sunday newspaper. The name was changed to the Sunday Dispatch in 1928. As editor, Charles Eade had served as press liaison officer for Lord Mountbatten during World War II. Distribution was up from 800,000 to over 2 million copies per edition in 1947. In light of comment from Randolph Churchill that Esmond Harmsworth, 2nd Viscount Rothermere, was pornographer royal for his ownership of the Daily Sketch and Sunday Dispatch, Rothermere fired both Eade and the editor of the Daily Sketch in 1959. Under its last editor, Walter Hayes, it still had pre-printed posters with the headline "Churchill is dead," in preparation of the death of Randolph Churchill's father, Winston Churchill. In December 1960, the paper had a circulation of 1,500,000, but in the following June Associated Newspapers announced that the title was to be merged with the Sunday Express. In an era when other papers such as the News Chronicle, the Empire News, and the Sunday Graphic were rapidly falling to the influence of television, the Sunday Dispatch ceased publication in 1961. The possible late 1960s Dispatch was the fictional setting of Philip Norman's 1996 novel Everyone's Gone to the Moon, about reporting on the British pop invasion of America. Famous stories and headlines. September 1927, in light of the trial verdict of the murder of P.C. Gutteridge of the Metropolitan Police, the headline read "Hanged by a Microscope." An early case of ballistic science, it reflected the fact that microscopic examination of the Smith & Wesson gun cartridge cases had provided the crucial evidence to convict car thieves Frederick Brown and Pat Kennedy of the murder. 1933 published Harry Price's book Leaves from a Psychist's Case book in a series of 10 articles. 1945, the first Miss Great Britain contest was held by Morecambe and Heysham Council in association with the Dispatch, which, as a preliminary to the personal appearance heats at Morecambe, photographic heats held in the newspaper attracted contestants from all over the country. The first prize was 7 guineas and a basket of fruit. 2 December 1945 broke news that British spy John Amory was dying of tuberculosis. A post-mortem revealed, after his conviction and execution for high treason, that he had not been suffering from the disease. 13 February 1949, in light of the importation of American dark humor comics, the headline read, "Horror has crept into the British nursery. Morals of little girls in plates and boys with marbles bulging in their pockets are being corrupted by a torrent of indecent colored magazines that are flooding bookstalls and newsagents." The counter-article was co-written by the Reverend Marcus Morris, later founder of the Eagle comic. 1950, in late summer, the Dispatch was partly responsible for launching the flying saucer debate in the UK, when in a circulation battle with the Sunday Express. Both papers competed to serialize the seminal books by Major Donald Kehoe, Flying Saucers Are Real, Frank Scully's Behind the Flying Saucers, and Gerald Hurd's Riddle of the Flying Saucers. Eade had been encouraged to promote flying saucer stories by his friend Lord Mountbatten, whom he had served as press officer during the Second World War. The Dispatch later reported on the 1951 Mount Kilimanjaro incident and the West Fugue incident in April 1957, June 1953 serialization of the Rommel papers edited by military historian Basil Liddell Hart. 25 April 1954, the headline read Doctors' Journal launches a startling campaign, smoking sensation MP urges ban on manufacture of cigarettes as move against cancer, peril on the risks of smoking and The article was later cited in 2000 by Gallagher Tobacco to the UK Parliamentary Health Select Committee, showing that such risks had been known for some while. 1954 broke the story that racing driver Mike Hawthorne was not called up for national service because he cited that he was not in the country, while actually he was. 1959 exposed a story about Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, where he sold shares at $65 each in a company that didn't exist. Hubbard apologized and returned all monies, allegedly commenting, "It's lucky the police did not become involved, otherwise something most unpleasant might have happened." Former journalists and editors. Gordon Beckles became assistant editor at age 25 in 1927, journalist, editor, and author, and author, and author, and author, and author. Ursula Bloom, reporter. Later a novelist who wrote under numerous pseudonyms, she published over 500 books in her lifetime, an achievement that won her recognition in the Guinness Book of Records. William Brittain, editor from 1931 to 1934. He then bought the short-lived London Daily Recorder. Colin Brooks, editor, 1930s. Randolph Churchill, political columnist. Resigned in 1936 following paper's refusal to publish one of his articles. Dorothy Crisp, a regular contributor of provocative articles. One edition in 1943 was banned in Ireland because it contained her criticisms of the de Valera's government. Charles Eade, editor, press liaison officer for Lord Mountbatten during the Second World War. Alastair Forbes wrote weekly column called Behind the World Political Scene from 1945, but he was fired in 1956. Charles Graves, the journalist brother of Robert Graves. Walter Hayes, editor, 1957-1961. Later Ford PR vice president. Gerald Manite, editor. Later founder of News Shopper. Reverend Marcus Morris, first feature he ever wrote. Later founder of the Eagle comic. Max Miller, the comedian, wrote a weekly column. Bill Tidy, cartoonist. Margaret Williams, reporter. Went to Berlin in 1946 with the first batch of British Army wives to rejoin their husbands serving in Germany. Ian Wooldridge, journalist. Editors. 1801, Robert Bell. 1815, George Kent. 1816, Robert Bell. 1818, Williams. 1838, Joseph Wrightson. 1856, Sidney French. 1862, Thomas James Searle. 1875, 1876, Henry Fox Bourne. 1883, W. A. Hunter. A. Hunter. A. Hunter. 1892, Frank Smith. 1895, Charles John Tibbets. 1903, Evelyn Wrench. 1904, 1911, Mintagu Cotton. 1915, Hanan Swaffer and Swaffer and Swaffer and Swaffer and Swaffer and Swaffer. 1919, Bernard Falk. 1933, Harry Lane. 3, Harry Lane. 1934, William Brittain. 1936, Colin Brooks. 1938, Charles Eade. 1959, Bert Gunsource.